Hello guys, and welcome to the day two of our MERN interview preparation. So today this is day two, and I am Mahin Malik as the interviewer of the day. So today I will ask you guys a question about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. Also, I will ask Redux, and there will be three rounds, and per person there is a three questions. Okay, so let's start with Vishal Tiwari. So your question is what is HTML, CSS, and which language is preferred with them as a web development?
Okay, so basically HTML is a structure or we can say a blueprint of any web page or web design. Without HTML, we can't start like any web page directly. So it's a structure or basically blueprint of any web page. And the CSS is to add some stylic part into that HTML element. So HTML basically is structure. It refers to hypertext markup language, and CSS is called cascading style sheet to implement styling on your HTML element, including layout, color, and fonts. And it also ensure the responsiveness of that page layout. So it can be responsive for all the types of devices with different widths. And yeah, like the next thing is which language is preferred for
Yes.
web development. Okay, so with HTML and CSS, we can use like there are so many languages that we can use in uh, for web development to put some interactiveness into it. But mostly we prefer using JavaScript. JavaScript is commonly used with HTML and CSS to make our web page more interactive, put some interactiveness or make it some logic inside your page so that it can be more dynamic by nature. Basically, to put some interactiveness or make it more dynamic, we use JavaScript.
Right, correct.
Yes.
HTML for the structure and for giving style to our static like HTML, we use CSS, and for making it more attractive and featureable, so we use JavaScript. Correct. So now next, Santosh, your question is what is different between let, where, cons in JavaScript? You are mute, Santosh.
Yeah. So let, where, and const. Where is a global and the let and const is a uh, unique. Uh, unique. You can redefine, like you can reassign the value in a where, but where and let, but you are not reassign the value in const. Okay, and let is a basically the let used to the uh, if you are taking uh, one like function, you can also using the many times, but cons at you can use only once a time. And where is a like global, it's a you can use anywhere, like every time. So you just have to define the uh, function, and you can write it uh, anything. Okay, that's
Nice try. Let me answer it clearly. So let where cons. Let's first talk about where. If we are using where and we have declared a variable, so we can also use that variable again. For example, also we can redeclare and reassign it. Okay. And if I talk about let, so if we have assigned or we have declared some variable, so we can't redeclare it, but also we can reassign it. Okay. For example, my name equal to Amit, so I can reassign it. My name equal to Santosh or Vishal, something like that. If I'm using const my name equal to Mahin. So I can't redeclare or reassign. So this is the main difference. Okay. So next, Amit, your question is what is OOPS in JS?
Yeah. So OOP stands for Object-Oriented Programming. It is a paradigm to which we can actually use the properties of classes. Like OOPS is mainly OOP is mostly used in Java and JavaScript and also other programming languages. it has multiple concepts like polymorphism, classes, encapsulation, abstraction, by which we can actually do many things. So what OOP does is it uses classes, and in JavaScript it is implemented in a way that uses prototypes. So in JavaScript we don't have classes. Actually, it is introduced classes in new version of ES6, but previously we don't had any classes. We were mostly using functions, but after this feature, we have classes by and we use classes by using prototype chains. So we have prototype chains, and by using those chains we can link multiple class-based functions in JavaScript. So just like Java, we have OOPS concept in JavaScript as well after this new feature. So as I told you, it has these properties called polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, these features. Yeah, that's it.
Nice explanation. So this is what OOPS entails. So this is our first round is completed. Let's go to the second round. So let's start with Vishal only. So what is class in JavaScript?
What is class in JavaScript?
And what are
Uh,
classes? Yes.
okay. Whatever I know, I'll just explain.
Sure.
Basically, like classes are like we can make a class or just like an object, we can make a class uh, as we as we can create an object or to uh, or we can implement lots of methods inside that object to get the data from the object or manipulate something to make something or manipulate the object properties inside the object. We have a class just like that. We can make the class or we have some like a number of methods that we can implement it on the class to retrieve the data from the class or to use the class data in the other class objects or like uh, child classes, so something like that. This is what I know only.
Yeah, okay. Something similar. Like you know that classes are a blueprint. We can say blueprint for creating objects, and also we can define properties and method inside classes. And also, you said like child that one. So it's a like a extends like we extend the classes like that. Okay, so right. So next, Santosh, what is React?
Okay. So yeah, the React is a JavaScript library basically used for the building the UI interfaces, especially for the single page application. And it is developed to create a uh, like uh, fast and sustainable interactive web pages, web application pages. And React is React was developed by the Facebook maintained by the maintained by the community development of organizations. Uh, Basically, the React, React using the uh, using the components and hooks and the many things. But in the major part of the uh, used for the uh, JSX like JavaScript XML code they are written uh, in a syntax in a code. So that's it.
Good try. So you're right, React is a JavaScript library. It's a front-end and operations JavaScript library for special for single page application. Also, there is features like components and JSX. So this is what React, right? Now next, Amit. So your question is, what is stateful and stateless components, and which is more preferable?
Yeah. So in React, we can categorize components in basically two categories: state-led component and stateful components. So stateless components are those components which were made by using only props. Like these components don't have any state as such. Like the state that we used to define while using a use state or any other methods. So these don't have any states. They don't need to manage any state. So these are stateless components. On the other hand, we have stateful components. These components are made with props as well as with states. Like for example, if you are if you are making a component and you are initiating a state using the hook use state, then you are maintaining a state inside that component. You need to manage it. So by doing that, you are actually making a stateful component. So these are stateless and stateful components. The use cases mostly depend on the use cases. Like if you want to manage any kind of state in your component, then you will be using a stateful component. But if you don't need to care about any state as such, like you just need to manage the UI I mean, you just care about the styling part, then you will only create a stateless component that don't require any state to be initiated in that component.
Hello. Okay. So you have explained related to states, right? My voice is coming. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry for little network issue. So you have explained stateless and stateful, but I will not say it's correct perfectly, because stateless component means function-based component and stateful means class-based component. So this is the what actual meaning of stateful and stateless. So why we call function-based components stateless? Because they don't have their own state. We have to use hook, right? So that's why function-based component called the stateless. But stateful means classes. We don't need to use any extra like hooks or any other thing. Classes have their own states. We can use this dot state, this dot set state, right? So this is what different between stateful and stateless. Okay, and which is preferable. So always we now React is going to the functional mode. Okay, so now also stateless means function based component using hook. We can use states on more feature of the React. So that's one function based component is a more preferable. Okay, so so after your question answer, our second round is completed. Let's go to the third round. So let's start with Vishal. So your question is, what is use state and use effect, and what's the difference between them?
What is use state and use effect and what?
Yes, what's the difference
What?
between them?
Okay. Okay. So basically use
Okay.
state and use state and use effect. These are two hooks provided by React itself. So I'll start with use state. So use state is a uh, like whenever we need to initialize any state. So we use state hook to initialize any state because in React we can't manipulate anything directly, or we can't directly initialize anything like as we already did in JavaScript. Like JavaScript, we can't directly manipulate anything or initialize anything. So to initialize or set a state of anything, or we can say something like that is changeable in nature. We initialize that thing inside use state to manage their state. Uh, like every use state updates states and re-renders the component. Every time re-render the component basically. And if I talk about the use effect, so use effect was a hook is used to handle asynchronous operations, just like API calls and DOM updates and like asynchronous, whatever the asynchronous task we can perform inside the use effect for dealing the side effects. It basically deals the side effect of that asynchronous operations. So use effect execute code after the component re-renders or when the dependency gets changes. Like there are two cases. When the component re-renders, it execute the code, and the second case is when the dependency gets changed, it again re-renders the code inside the use effect. So this is use state and use effect. Basically, use state re-renders component, and use effect has its own dependency. So every time we will update or change in the dependency, so it re-renders the component. This is the basic difference between both of them.
Okay, nice try. But you little mistakes in your answer. So let me clear you. Use state for handling states in React, obviously right. And then use effect also you have mentioned correctly ki, for handling side effect. But you said after re-render. You said use effect execute after re-render. That's incorrect. Whenever our component renders first time so every time use effect call, right? And also it depend on its dependency and then empty like so if it is empty, so on the every render, right? First render it will execute. Okay, and if there is a dependency, so it will according to it will render. Okay, so this is the what use effect and use state. So now Santosh, your turn for tar promise in JavaScript. Santosh.
Okay. So what are the promise?
Promises,
What?
right?
Okay. And okay. Uh,
Mm.
Promises. Give me 1 second. I just figure out the answer. Okay. Uh, yeah. So yeah, promises is a JavaScript using asynchronous operators. Basically, the like fetching the data and extracting the like fetching the data and the APIs. Yeah, and the many uh, readable or the maintainable by efficiency. Okay. Uh, Promises is a efficiency way to compare the traditional callback function, uh, and they provide the clearance way to manage asynchronous logic and the callback handle error, uh, callback handle error. So the promise. Promise is a like JavaScript represents the eventually the completely or the uh, like you can use the solve and the rejection the main handling to the promises. That's it.
Okay, nice try. So promise is a JavaScript object that represents the eventual completion or failure of a asynchronous operation. Okay, so this is what you have tried to explain. Yeah, it's correct. Also, it's for using for fetching the data, and that's all right. So, last question to Amit: what is Redux?
Library.
Now start.
Yeah, so Redux is a popular state management solution for all the JavaScript projects, or we can use it in React as well. So it is the first-hand choice of any programmer. What it does is it creates a store where all the variables, or we can say all the state of our application resides. It is the center of all the state that we have across our application. While using store, we actually deals with many things like we need to create slices, we need to dispatch reducers and define actions as well. So according to these things, our Redux works. So it is a centralized state management system. It has actions, and actions are used to define multiple actions, whether we want to increase value, decrease a value, or manipulate anything. It has dispatcher functions, which actually dispatches a function according to our needs. Whenever we want to dispatch a function according to that state, and we have our use selected as well. So when we want to use a state or a variable, or basically a state of variable in any of our components. We basically use selector, and using use selector we can actually fetch that value or fetch that state from the store itself, and we can update it inside any component. So all the components shares the same store, whether no matter where it is, and we cannot basically directly change the store values by mutating it literally or directly. We need to use dispatcher functions and our actions to maintain it or to change it. So yeah, this was all about Redux.
Nice explanation. Redux is a management system for JavaScript applications, right? So all three rounds are completed. You all guys performed well, and really appreciate to all. You have tried your best to best. And so, guys, that's it for today. And please wait for tomorrow. We will come with lots of new questions. And if you have a suggestion, you can suggest us what should we have implement in our videos. Okay, so bye. See you.